Let me ask you a little question this morning. Kind of feels like my first opportunity to talk to you this year. I'm not throwing. But I'm just saying, we had worship day, January 1st. What a great day that was. Oh man, what a great day that was. Uh, and I know I took a couple minutes at the end. And then last week, Pastor Christy, she gave the great report about Kenya and the great word to encourage us throughout the week. And so I just kind of feel like it's New Year's Day, and this is my first opportunity to really bring the word to you this morning. And I just want to finally ask, how are you guys doing? You doing good? Doing good. New Year's going well, I hope. Did you set some goals this year? Set some goals. Set some goals for your health. Set some goals for your finances, maybe for your family. Okay, all right. 2 weeks in, are your intentions for 2023 still heavy upon your heart and your mind? All right, maybe, all right. Let me ask you a question this morning. Did you make room for Jesus in 2023? With your New Year's goals and commitments, what you wanted to see happen in your life, did you set goals for how you will grow in him this year? How you want to be used by him this year? Let me tell you, if that kind of goal never crossed your mind, I'm not asking from a standpoint of shame or condemnation. I'm just asking this morning because I want to let you know it's not too late. It's not too late to start. Sure, we might be 2-3 Sundays into January so far, but you don't need to wait another 350 days for the emotional high of New Year's Day to set some goals to go deeper with him. All you have to do is start today. Why don't you look to your neighbor, tell him it starts today. It starts today. So this morning, because it starts today, we're going to start a brand new series called The Deep. The Deep. We are wanting to move into the deep. It is my prayer for you that this year of 2023 will be the deepest, most meaningful year that you've ever had with Jesus. That he will take you to new levels in this coming year. And that your walk with him will be different and greater than what it ever has been before. Because that's his desire for you. That's what he wants. He wants to reveal himself to you in a greater way. He expressed that when he inspired the Apostle Paul to write to a church in a city called Ephesus. And when Paul wrote this letter, he wrote these amazing words in Ephesians chapter 3 that are truly God's word for that church, but also God's word for our church here today in 2023. Let me read to you 4 verses. Ephesians chapter 3, starting in verse 16. I pray that from his glorious, unlimited resources, I like that. That sounds good, doesn't it? God's glorious, unlimited resources. That should make you feel peace right there, that he will empower you with inner strength through the Spirit. Then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust in him. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand as all God's people should. If you have a paper Bible, you should underline just that line right there if you don't already have it. If you have the Bible app, you can't underline just that one line, unfortunately. That's my one problem with the Bible app. You got to underline the whole verse, which is okay. But as all God's people should. Understand how wide, how long, how high, and how deep his love is. May you experience the love of Christ, though it is too great to understand fully. Then you will be made complete with all the fullness of life and power that comes from God. Oh, that's great. I want to talk to you for a few minutes today about the measure of intimacy. The measure of intimacy. Let me pray for the word this morning. Father, thank you so much for your word. Lord, your word is perfect. And though you have chosen an imperfect being to relay your word today, I know that your word will be perfected as it is communicated from you through me to your people. So God, I just ask that you would speak above all else today. Allow us to hear you above all else today. and let us be changed by you above all else today. In Jesus' name, amen. I've said this before to you. You maybe don't remember. That's okay. I'm not offended if you didn't remember this, but it's kind of random. I'm not a very good swimmer. I'm not. I can swim. I can swim. I mean, I can make it to one end of a pool to another. It might take me 25 minutes and might have to take a couple breaks here and there, but I could make it. I could swim. If I go into a pool, I'm good with 6, 7, 8. I'd even say maybe 9, 10 feet of water. I'm okay with that. I could tread that for a little bit. I'll tell you what, if I'm stranded in the middle of Lake Jackson, I'm a goner. I'm not coming out of the other side there. I'm not swimming to shore. That's not going to happen. It's done and over with. But I'm good with treading a little bit of water for a little bit of time, especially if it's only 8, 9 feet deep. If I get tired, I'm going to sink down, take my breath, sink down, jump back up. It's kind of an emotional high being able to jump that high, when you're in water, right? I mean, it's kind of good. Anything more than that, though, I'm going to be real with you. I have a legitimate fear of. I was looking at just vaguely or just a little bit this week, preparation for the message, wanting to see how deep Olympic diving pools are, because I thought they'd be like 20, 25 feet. Minimum depth is like 15 feet. Maybe they go a little bit deeper from time to time, but that doesn't matter. No way. I'm not doing it. I know my limits. I'm not doing it. It's right up there with skydiving. It's not going to happen. I'll stay on the edge, clinging to the side. I'm going to stay in the shallow end. And I'd be willing to bet that there's several of you here today that are in the same boat with me. You're just, you know your limits. And if it's not you, it's someone you know that has that fear of water. They're not even getting on a cruise ship because of the what if that thing goes down. Deep water poses a risk. It poses a risk. It represents danger to our lives. And even if you're comfortable in deep water, even if you're an amazing swimmer, it could still concern you because in the deep is where the unknown is at. It's where the unknown resides. So it's natural and completely understandable when we come across deep water that we're cautious. Here's the thing is it's not just deep water that we get concerned with. We get concerned with a lot of deep things. We get fearful of a lot of deep things. We get fearful with deep relationships. We get burned once or twice, and then suddenly we find ourselves fearful of that deep, intimate relationship. And that goes against our intended, specified blueprint of who we are. We're created to enjoy intimate relationships. We're created to have intimacy with other people, whether it be like a spouse or a really close friend, or intimacy even with the God of the universe. We are relational beings. How many of you kind of started a new Bible reading plan this year? Did you start in Genesis? Probably read the first couple of days there, or the first day, the account of creation. Do you remember the very last thing that God created? If you say that it was Adam, yeah, I guess technically you'd be right, but I'm also going to say you'd be wrong. That's not the last thing he created. The very last thing God created was relationships. When he said, it is not good for man to be alone, I will create for him a helper. And he creates for his creation this beautiful gift of relationships. There is not a single moment of our existence that we aren't connected to someone. It starts off in our mother's womb. We're literally physically connected via umbilical cord. And then from that time on, we are emotionally connected with whomever will allow ourselves to be. What makes life most fulfilling and worthwhile are the deep, long-standing relationships that we have with each other. Yet in those relationships, there is always a risk, kind of like deep water. There's this risk of being hurt. There's this risk of being let down. This morning, I want to let you know, and I want to tell you, if you don't already know this, or if you don't already believe this, a deep relationship with God is the safest, most reliable relationship, most secure relationship you will ever have. In Ephesians chapter 3, the Apostle Paul, he says his primary desire is for his readers to understand how great God's love is for them. Because the Father's love for us, it's intense. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that who would ever believe in him would not perish, but have eternal life. And I love how the New Living Translation worded verse 18 of our main text this morning, because it says that it's the responsibility of every believer. It is your duty to know, you should know how great the Father's love is for you. It is your job to grasp hold of and to lay hold of his love in your life. We should be experiencing intimacy with him. When it comes to our routines, when we're going to and fro, doing the things that we dread every single week, there should be this intimate connection with the Father in the middle of those routines. In our relationship with other people, there should always be Jesus right at the center of that relationship. Whether it's with your spouse or a close personal friend, when Jesus is in the middle of those relationships, they are the most meaningful. Maybe even in your times of relaxation and you're just vegging out. This afternoon, you're at home and maybe you're watching some of the games on TV this afternoon. Let the Jesus be there with you, cultivating that deep, intimate time. Enjoying his presence, even in the midst of your relaxation. And what a prayer to have for this upcoming year, to know him more. Even though we're 2 weeks into the year right now, I want to encourage you to make this the driving force of your year, because nothing compares to the goal of going deeper in your relationship with Jesus. To know him and to be known by him, to love him greater and to receive greater love from him. These are the definition of spiritual intimacy. Called the message this morning, The Measure of Intimacy, because I want to just take a couple of moments and talk about these units of measure that are listed in Ephesians 3. They illustrate God's love for us, and these 4 words, wide, long, height, and depth. They might all sound the same or somewhat similar, and the way they describe God's love for us, yes, there is these similarities, that these measurements, they denote this distance, this realm of distance. However, in our interaction with that love, in our interaction with him, these units of measurement, width, length, height, and depth, they are 4 completely different things, and that we need to understand this morning. Let me take a look at these with you here today. First of all, we need to understand it's a choice I make. How wide is the love of Christ? His love spans my entire life. His love covers my entire life. It spans from my sinful nature all the way over to my ultimate potential. His love spans from my family life to my work life. His love spans from my plans and my intentions all the way to his will. His love spans every aspect of who I am, my complete identity. And if I'm to understand how wide his love is, I'm going to have to make the choice. Does he have access to every area of my life? Or is it just a few select areas? Because we can't be like, oh, Jesus, I like you over here. I'm good with you over here, but over here on this part, no. If you could just stay over there, Jesus, that would be great. I can't have him over here and not over there. I can't be like, Jesus, you can have my Sundays just as long as my Saturdays aren't interrupted. I'm good with coming to church on Sunday the 29th, but don't you talk to me, Jesus, about that church workday on the 28th. Jesus, you can have my abilities. All that you've given me, they're yours, just as long as they don't interrupt with my tradition. Jesus, you can have it all. If I'm going to go deeper this year, I'm going to need to choose to surrender all of me. You know, there was this time that Jesus called a man to come and follow him. The Bible's not very specific about who this man was or even what the nature of the call was. Maybe he was going to be a 13th disciple. I don't know. I find it fun just to kind of speculate those kinds of things. But what did he say to him? If you've read the Bible at all, you would remember how he says, let me first go and bury my father. And the opportunity was gone because he didn't give access to the entire span of his life. Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus, do you know why he betrayed Jesus? Because he refused to give Jesus access to the entire span of his life, even to the area of his greed. And the success stories that you read about in the New Testament, all those that understood the love that God, that it must span to the entire area of their life, people like James and John, who left their father in the boat holding the nets while they go off to following Jesus, there are the examples to follow. You got people like Matthew, who chose to leave a lucrative career as a tax collector. And you got people like Paul, who left the power and the influence that he held, and he surrendered that to follow Jesus. Those and dozens more that are recorded in the New Testament have learned the most valuable thing that they can, that when you surrender the span of your life, he shows you the span of his love. I will never truly know how wide his love is if I don't allow it to reach the farthest regions of my life. The breadth, I'm trying to get that D in there. The breadth, Sister Susie, I think knows what a breadth. The width to which I experience God's love is dependent upon the width to which I allow him in. I'm never going to know how wide his love is if I don't open up my life completely. Is there a part of you that you're just not letting Jesus into? Maybe it's this sin that you find pleasure in and you're finding temporary fulfillment in. Yeah, you might feel guilty about it at first and in the long run, but you're just not willing to quite let him take complete control of it. Maybe it's a bitterness in your heart that you're finding justification in. Maybe it's just an expectation that you're not willing to let go of. Let me encourage you today, try making the choice. Let him in your whole life. Experience how satisfying and wide his love is. The choice is yours. Secondly, this morning, we also must understand the steps that he took. The steps that he took. If our prayer is to know how long the love of Christ is, then we must also know the steps that he took. Because the lengths to which he has gone to be with us are extensive and they are great. The psalmist, he gave such this elegant and beautiful and perfect illustration to describe the length of God's love. And he said, as far as the east is from the west, that is how far you have removed my sin, my transgression from me. You can't get much farther in length than the east is from the west. And God, he's always been stepping in the direction of his creation because he desires to be with his creation. When we as a human race, we were brand new and he had just created us and we were Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. It says that he would walk in the garden with them, that he would join them in the cool of the day. Why? Because he wanted to be with him. Centuries later, when his people are held captive in Egypt, he personally shows up And he literally leads them out of Egypt in the form of a cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. Centuries later after that, he literally walked the road to Calvary, carrying the cross that belonged to me, the shame that belonged to me. And he bore it upon himself, and he took that and he stepped towards what I should have been stepping towards so that we could commune with him again. He has taken every possible step to show us his love. And when we move into these new years like this, and we're starting to make all these grand plans, new year, new choices, new year, new priorities, new year, new habits, new year, new me, Why not this year? Remember, new year, same God. The same God who actively took such huge strides in making sure that we could be together is still making those same strides. Now, his love is not dependent upon the steps that I take. My steps, they don't take me very close to him. But he continues to step towards me. He continues to draw me to himself. He continues to reveal himself. He continues to redeem those he loved. He continues to reveal who he is. The length of his love, it is limitless and it is boundless. When I was still lost and I was helpless, living only for myself, his love was so long that he drew me to him when he had no reason to. I offered him absolutely nothing, yet he still drew me to him. And even now that I follow him and I try to live my life as best as I can following him, and I still wind up making silly, stupid, sinful mistakes from time to time, he doesn't write me off. He still steps in my direction. Oh, it's the steps that he takes. He is the one who loves us to indescribable and unmeasurable lengths so that we can walk with him those great lengths. His love, it is so long so that my love reciprocated back to him can be long, so that I can choose him over everything else and pick up my cross daily and follow him. I can surrender my flesh every single time it rises up, and I can choose to follow him. The steps he takes enables the steps that I'm able to take this morning. That brings me to the third thing I wanted to share with you to understand. We need to understand the faith that we live in. The faith that we live in. When you decide to know his love as much as you can, I guarantee you that decision is going to result in taking you to a place that is going to require faith. I'm reminded of the time the disciples and Peter, they're in a boat. Jesus isn't with them, and they're in this boat. You can read about it in Matthew chapter 14. I'm not going to read it to you today. I'll give you the short abridged version. Jesus, he's not with them. At his request, they've gone on ahead of him, and they're trying to get to the other side, but it says that the waves are against them, and they're struggling to get there. And Jesus, he comes walking out to them on the water. And when they see Jesus, they're naturally concerned. They're scared to death at what they're seeing. Don't think you wouldn't be either. These guys, they're saying crazy things. Oh, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. We're all going to die. Maybe, that's a little bit of creative liberty, but I don't think I'm very far off from the temperament that's in the boat when they see Jesus walking on the water. And when Jesus reveals himself to his disciples, Peter, he says, Lord, if it's you, would you call me out to where you are at? Most of us here, we know the story very well. We remember how then Jesus tells Peter, okay, come on out. And Peter, by faith, steps out of the boat. And he's walking on water until he takes his eyes off Jesus and he begins to sink. And Jesus reaches out and he grabs him and he lovingly says, oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? Here's the point. It's going to take faith to experience the heights of his love. His love, it is going to take you places. It's going to take you places no one in their right mind would ever want to be on their own. Places that are going to move us beyond our comfort, our own ability, to a place that we're going to have to rely upon him. Places that are going to remove us from my preferences and require me to be supplied with his peace. Places that require me to live in faith. When you're determined to be with Jesus and you're determined to grow deeper with him, as you understand the heights of his love, it won't matter where he is at. It won't matter when he calls you. It won't matter who else is with you. It won't even matter why you can't follow him. All that will matter is that you are willing to step out in faith. And it looks different for each and every one of us, that step of faith. For Peter, it was climbing out of a boat onto the water. For you and I, it's going to be totally different. Let me say something shocking this morning. I haven't said anything shocking this week, I don't think. Let me go with the shock value this morning. I'm not standing here in front of you today because of how much I love you guys. Though I do love you guys are awesome. But that's not why I'm up here. I'm up here this morning because I know the height of his love. I'm up here this morning because I know that love comes with a call. And that call comes with a walk of faith. Now, I used very detailed notes on Sunday mornings. Some preachers have to use detailed notes because if they don't, they're going to wind up talking about political conspiracy theories and all these crazy things. And they need their notes to keep on track. How many of you know a preacher like that? All right. That's not me. My mind goes blank about 250 times while I'm up here. I need my notes to show me the track that I should be on, because otherwise we would have been done like 30 minutes ago. Not to mention, it's literally intimidating for me to stand up here and tell you how I think you need to be living your life. Believe me, it's not my first choice as a good time to stand up here and tell you how you need to be living. It's stressful wondering every single week. I wonder if they're going to come back after that one. But I'm up here because I've learned how high his love is. How that love takes me to his level. How it takes me to his expectations. How it takes me to his purposes. How it takes me to places that require faith. And I'm nothing special. I'm nothing special. He desires to do the same thing in each and every one of you. He wants to take you higher. He wants to take you to a place where his ways are. He wants to take you to a place where his thoughts are. He wants to take you to a place where you're going to be stretched. He's going to take you to a place where you're going to be moved beyond your comfort, to a place that requires you to live by faith. So when the call comes and you begin to see the height to which he wants you to go with him, be like Peter and be willing to step out of the boat, because he's bringing you to where he is. He's not going to let you drown. And even if you begin to fall, there's no shame. There's no condemnation. It's just his grace. It's just his mercy. It's just his love, the height of his love reaching down to catch you and say, I'm still right here. We need to understand it's the faith we live in. Finally, this morning, we need to understand it's the lifestyle that I live. It's the lifestyle that I live. Oh, he desires you to go as deep as you can with him. Not just as a New Year's resolution that's going to fizzle out. That had I preached this message on January 1st, that would probably already be gone by now. But as a sustained lifestyle. That in every aspect of your life, your primary concern is how much of him you can possibly know. If it's not already, let this year be the year that you want to know and experience and live for Christ deeper than what you ever have had before. Deeper than last year, deeper than last week, deeper than yesterday. That as the days progress, he will want, and you will want that deepness to progress right along with you. That you will be totally immersed, not a sprinkling. Like when I was walking my dogs early Friday morning and there's this light drizzle and I was already up and semi-dressed for the day and what I was probably going to wear the rest of the day. It was kind of a relaxing day for me. And I got really irritated when I got wet. How many of you with me? You hate getting caught in the rain. It doesn't even have to be a downpour, just a light drizzle. Not this light drizzle, not even a torrential downpour, but this completely immersive experience where every aspect of my life is completely surrounded by him, where I'm consumed by him and his thoughts, where I'm consumed by him and his actions and what he wants to do through me and his desires that he's trying to birth within me. Not satisfied with where I was yesterday because I want to go deeper today. Now, in a swimming pool, you have a choice. Will I stay on the shallow end or will I go to the deep end? You know, in our friendships, we have a choice. We have a choice. We can either keep it superficial, just these hey there's and, these bro hugs. You know what a bro hug is? Yeah, let's show the people what a bro hug is. Jesse, I was going to do it with Jesse, but he went to the restroom. There we go. That's a bro hug. It's universal. It can either be that, or it could be the deepest, most meaningful thing that you've ever experienced. It doesn't have to just be the occasional Sunday. It doesn't have to just be the verse of the day every other day. He wants it to be more than that. He wants it to be so much more than oh God, help me when the road gets especially tough. He wants you to choose the deep, meaningful, intimate relationship. I said a little bit earlier, it's the safest, more secure relationship you can ever have. But there is still a risk in that relationship. But the risk doesn't come from him. In fact, the risk comes from me, and he takes on that risk. He takes on the chance that I'm going to be the one that hurts him. He takes on the chance that I'm going to be the one that steps away. When I live a life consumed by going deeper with him, he brings on all the risk. Yet he allows me to keep on coming. He allows me to keep on seeking. He allows me to keep on knocking just to see how deep we can possibly go. Choose the lifestyle of going deeper. Because it's in that choice that you're going to find the comfort. It's in that choice that you're going to find the fulfillment. It's in that choice that you're going to experience the pleasure of intimacy with him. A life in the deep end finds the joy that comes from hearing his voice every single day. A life in the deep end enjoys being able to experience his peace when his presence is there with you every single day. It's in the deep end where you're going to know him more. You're going to know his expectations more. You're going to know his character more. It's in the deep end that you're going to see him in the pain. It's in the deep end that you're going to see him in the delay. It's in the deep end that you're going to see him in the frustration. But these things will only happen if I make the choice that I'm going to make it the lifestyle that I live. This year, I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper this year. I'm not satisfied with where I've been. And I'm expectant for where I could be. Here's what I know about going deep. I don't know everything about going deeper, but this is what I do know. We will not go deeper unless we practice deeper things. And so that's what the remainder of this series is going to be. It's going to be these nitty-gritty practices of knowing Jesus more deeply. We're going to be talking about being in the Word regularly. We're going to talk about praying continually. We're going to talk about sacrificial giving and serving consistently and believing boldly. We're going to look at 5 things that from the outside looking in, they just appear to be too simple to take me anywhere of substance, to take me anywhere than where I'm already at. Just because I promise you, just because they're simplistic of nature does not mean they are void of power. These next 5 weeks will take you deep. They will take you deep, though only if we stick and we take to heart to what we talked about for just these few minutes this morning. Making the choice, because his love is wide and it should span every aspect of my life. Choosing to walk with him the length of his love. Walking with him and choosing the lifestyle of faith. And choosing the lifestyle that I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. I want to go deeper. That's where he wants to take us. Would you bow your head and close your eyes with me this morning?